All right, let's get it.
Yep.
Art-wise, within the last handful of months or whatever, have you been like experimenting with any kind of new art techniques that you may have not experimented with before, like any media or any tools or anything new that you've put into your arsenal of weapons? No?
Fuck no. It's a miracle that I can even get to the drawing board at all.
Dude, I've been wanting to make and I've got like the perfect name for my sketchbook. I'm not going to say it because I don't want anybody out there to steal it.
I want to steal it. Let me.
Like I've been like, I need to do it, but I'm dreading. Here's the thing, like I hate like the scanning parts. I hate all that stuff about comics. Everything like outside of drawing the actual comics is
You just order around slaves and they can do all your stuff for you.
Oh, where are we going, Ken?
What? We're not going nowhere.
We're spiraling out now.
We're right here. We're good.
You want to show off what you're sketching there?
Oh yeah, this weird little thing.
What you got? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind. I am one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez.
And I'm Ken, aka Comic Ken on YouTube.
And welcome to another weekly comics discussion. We appreciate you joining us here this week. I think it's going to be a good one. We're going to have a kind of a cool, kind of fun hangout today. Just kind of chatting about whatever comes to mind. So, Ken, what you got, dude? What you been up to this week? Have you been able to get any comics done? I see you're sketching there. So, what you got, man?
Comics, man. It's what's weird about comics is like I'll be sitting there looking at my page. I have a page that I've been working on for I don't know how long, and it's just not coming along, man. It's just there. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I'm working on this page for issue 3 of Air Rider.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, it's mostly I'm just tracing the underdrawing right now, but it's just like I don't want to work on this right now. I gotta do a whole bunch of. I'm doing Inktober. That's the thing. I have to do Inktober and then draw like a new drawing every night. Sometimes I use like pre-made drawings that I did before Inktober, but I'm trying to stick to a schedule of a drawing a night and like maybe have a little speech balloon attached to it or some words. And it's just like I don't have time. It's like I keep eating it up watching YouTube shorts, man. So it's like,
dude. So I did Inktober last year.
You finished it too?
I finished it. I got through all 31 days. I think I might have had like a lull somewhere in there because I had like a show to get prepared for or something. But it takes up way too much time. So like I didn't even attempt it this year. I might, if I see a prompt or two that like I feel like doing, like, and I have time to do, I'll do it. But
yeah,
last year what I did is I got sketch cards, like the little Bristol board sketch cards, real small, kind of trading card size things, and I was doing all the illustrations on that. So like it was a small little area, so it was a little more manageable,
right?
And I want to say that I did the cartoonist kayfabe Inktober prompts.
They have their own special ones.
Yeah. They made one last year, and I know that they made one this year too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, just with all my stuff going on, I was like, dude, I cannot throw that in the mix. It's just like it takes way too much time. Like even if you try to like preload some of those sketches, like it's still like kills your time. Also, all those October sketches that I made got stolen in my break-in.
So fuck.
That was also kind of like, nah, I'm not doing it this year. I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
But
damn.
What is so it's the 12th. So you've done 12 drawings so far for it?
I've done like maybe 6 to 7.
Yeah.
And then a couple of them were like pre-drawn, so I uploaded those instead. And I'm like 2 days behind right now. So I've uploaded 10 drawings, but I'm like 2 days behind. So I'm going to catch up probably at the end of the month instead of trying to catch up right in the middle. And then Yeah, that'll be Inktober. I just found myself with some extra time this month. I'm not working on any like client projects or anything, so I got enough time to do Inktober,
Yeah.
and it made me think of the idea of doing like a daily strip for Air Rider. That would be, I thought that would be cool, but I don't know. Just getting a drawing out per night is not feasible with a full time job. Like
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Like having a full time job is like it just gets in the way, man.
Yeah, and like with those strips, dude, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to at least like preload like 20 strips or like
Right.
like a full month's worth.
Yeah.
Because if you like if you get like three ahead and you start posting them, like that's not gonna be enough, man. Because that's a lot
Yeah.
of work, dude. Daily strip.
Yeah.
But it would be dope though. I would love to see
And the
it.
daily strip would just be advertisement for like the full strip.
Yeah.
And that's just that's if I was doing comics full time. Like if I was
Mhm.
doing it 100% of the time and making money at it and living off of that, that's what I would do. But
Yeah, like for example, I know I bring up cartoonist kayfabe a lot, but it's kind of
yeah,
one of
you
those
love
YouTube
them.
dude. It's that daily drawing content, man. You put on those episodes, and it's good background music to draw to.
Right.
Um, but Ed Piscor, he's doing daily strip right now. But he's been I want to say he started on it like 3 or 4 months ago, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
not going to release the first strip until January 1st. So
Damn.
he's got like a stack of like 90 or 100 strips just preloaded, ready to go
Right.
for whenever he starts launching it. And I want to say he's been already releasing those on his Patreon, for paid subscribers.
Uh-huh.
So they're kind of getting like a preview to all that stuff. But yeah, dude, strips are dope, but shit, that's a lot of work.
Well, that's what I'd do if I was a smart person, like preloading them shits and
Yeah.
then shooting them out whenever they're all ready and done.
Yeah. So are you seeing any kind of like increased engagement or like following or anything from participating in the Inktober stuff?
Absolutely not. It's just about the same amount of likes every every post. I
Yeah.
get like either less likes than before or the same amount. And
Yeah.
it's around like it's always around like 30 to like 20 to 30 per
Mhm.
post, sometimes a little bit more. This post I did on Twitter today went really well because it was a fan art post of another artist that I like. And a lot of artists are a lot of other people are liking that post, but that one was just because it was like a fan art and the character was simple to draw, so I could get it done in a night. But the thing about what was I about to say? Don't lose my track. The thing about the other posts. Wait, what was the question, man?
No, I was just asking like if you've seen some like by participating in Inktober, like have you seen like increased engagement or increased following? Because
Oh, right.
kind of like one
Yeah.
of those trending hashtags right now, this month.
No, not really. So like I did it hasn't grown much, but like commenting on other people's posts or like posts with a lot of followers that also engage with the content, just commenting on that kind of gets me some eyeballs just by seeing my comment on those things.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I'm trying a whole bunch of different strategies for trying to get like known out there. And that's why I've kind of switched from trying to get likes to trying to get paid. So what I'm trying to do is like I'm setting up a big cartel, like a online store for some of the items that I have, and I'm gonna try to sell some stuff online. So what I'm trying to do is like figure out a way to get people from interested in Air Rider to a paying customer and not worrying about the likes or engagement and just developing an audience around fulfilling and giving to customers, if that makes sense. So like that way I don't have to worry about like, oh, did this get a whole bunch of likes? No, but it did make this much in sales, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that certainly makes sense. It's, man, I haven't dove far enough into that realm of like my artwork and everything, and I know I should.
Right.
But it's kind of like that thing where it's like all these artists are kind of like drawing these things, and they post about them and they say, hey, $100 for this. Like I wonder if that stuff is really actually working for them, as opposed, because like I think like when I'm probably way too like old school in my thinking, by like when I go to a show and there's an artist that I like, if you want to get a commission, you buy your commission, there's some kind of like alternate experience there, like seeing them in person, seeing them drawing it, interacting with them, and then paying for the commission. Now, when I think about doing that online where somebody's just like, hey, did this, it's up for grabs, there's some kind of like lacking link there that I don't know if, the normal commissioner is really going to want to do that. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably not as open-minded in it as I should be, but I mean, maybe it is a viable thing. I don't know.
I think some people know how to make it work. I'm not one of those people. So it's like just a matter of figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like anything I see somebody else doing online, I'm like, okay, they're doing this, they're making it work somehow. How do I make it work for me? And that takes a lot of months of figuring it out because I don't just ask people directly. I'm afraid like if I ask people directly, like they'll just be like, they'll just ignore me or not like say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and plus
or just
they're
withhold.
Like, yeah, because they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to tell you my secrets because then my shit's not going to sell.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's like a zero-sum game, but it's like I don't know. Everyone has their own like strategies with how they make stuff work. And nobody's really sharing it, but our show is all about, sharing about what we're doing and all that.
Sharing and caring.
Well, not so much caring, but sharing at least.
Just sharing.
Yeah, just sharing.
We don't care at all.
We don't care.
That's cool, man. I mean, Inktober is certainly one of those cool kind of things around the art community. I like seeing that kind of stuff.
I heard the guy got in trouble though a while ago.
Oh, like the guy who
started it,
invented it. Oh, okay.
Huh. Yeah, I think he was trying to trademark it, but it ended up being like a whole big deal. People like mistook what he was trying to do. Some person was trying to I think make a book out of it, out of the Inktober stuff, and the original creator of Inktober, Jake Parker, he was like, no, you can't do that because Inktober is trademarked by me or something like that. And I don't know, people were getting on him because and I don't want to be talking out of my ass here or anything, so I'm not gonna say too much, but it's like
some kind of like copyright stuff.
Yeah, some kind of copyright stuff. People were having a problem with it on the internet, so that like people got pissed, but that wasn't his intention. He wasn't trying to, like take it and make it his own thing. He was just saying like, I'm the originator. I don't want people like, profiting off of it, making like I don't know how you describe it. But he wasn't trying to do like something bad. He was just trying to like, hey, I'm the person that created this,
Gotcha. So. Yeah, and I think that the other cool thing about doing Inktober and like so many, regimented sketches and whatnot, and like I need to get on this, but like making sketchbooks, printed sketchbooks at some point, like with all the Inktober stuff that I've done, with all the sketches that I've done, like I have so much content to make like a printed sketchbook.
For sure.
Whether it's in black and white or, some color pages in there.
Right.
And I really want to get on that. But, that's another cool thing that you can do. Like if you, keep up with 31 days of sketches, sketches that you like, you scan those things in, make a cool little cover, cool little back cover, and you've got, another product for your website, for your table, for all that stuff. So that's kind of another one of those cool things about it.
Yeah, it's like a little zine that you have that's just like prepared for you and whatnot.
Yeah, I really want to, dude. I've been wanting to make and I've got like the perfect name for my sketchbook. I'm not going to say it because I don't want anybody out there to steal it.
I want to steal it. Let me.
Like, I've been like, I need to do it, but I'm dreading like here's the thing. Like, I hate like the scanning parts. I hate all that stuff about comics. Everything like outside of drawing the actual comics is just like, even right now with like scanning in West Not South, like I'm still not done.
Oh fuck!
I find myself like avoiding scanning and like working on like my other projects before like this, even though like I'm so much, I'm so not extremely close to the finish line yet, but I'm getting there.
Right.
But like I'm still like trying to avoid scanning, and like I'm just going to like my drawing projects.
Yeah, I know what you're
Like
talking about.
Like that's another part of like the sketchbook thing. Like, I just want to like hire an assistant or something for like a week and say like, here's my scanner, here's my laptop, here's my sketchbooks. Scan everything in and like format it for me.
Yeah. That's one of those things that comes with like money. Like, once you get money, you can just be like, hey bitch, you do this. I don't want to do it. You fucking do it.
Yeah.
And you just order around slaves and they can do all your stuff for you.
Oh, where are we going, Ken?
What? We're not going nowhere.
We're spiraling out now.
We're right here. We're good.
All right, bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. What else you been up to? I want to talk about a tech. So have you, art wise, within the last handful of months or whatever, have you been like experimenting with any kind of new art techniques that you may have not experimented with before, like any media or any tools or anything kind of new that you've put into your arsenal of weapons? No?
Fuck no. It's a miracle that I can even get to the drawing board at all. I'm just happy that I can even like do a sketch like I'm doing right now. I would love nothing more than to and this is my favorite thing in drawing and in creating art is is sitting there looking at an amazing piece of art that really captures like what I like in art, and then trying to dissect that style and then recreate it and learn how to do it so that I can create that in my own work and then use that for my own comics and stories. Because I know I can use their style to tell a great story, but I never have the time to fully dive into dissecting every line and analyzing all the different why the piece works. Because that's all I want to do with art. I don't even really want to make all these sketches for Inktober. I just want to go back to this is what I did in the old days. I just want to go back to the old days and just look at DeviantArt tutorials, YouTube tutorials, figure out new Clip Studio paint techniques, and just try to figure that stuff out. Because that's the fun thing about drawing for me, is like using my mind to do something I couldn't do before.
Yeah, it's all about like it's like almost like, especially when you're working on comic pages, it seems like every page is like a new puzzle to kind of figure out. It's because like you're kind of like, I'm always kind of like orchestrating things like, how the hell do I do this, without like maybe making it look too close to something, or how do I kind of like ink this to kind of bring something to the front of the page and all that. Like, there's like so much puzzle solving in comics that I don't think people kind of realize that.
Yeah, a puzzle is a good way to put it.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason I ask about like if you've come up with or experimented with anything new or anything, because I kind of had one of those. There's kind of like maybe once every 3 months, once every 6 months or something.
Uh-huh.
Like there's something like I've always seen other artists use, or I've seen in like commissions, or I've seen, you know, people use at their tables and stuff.
Uh-huh.
As some kind of new media, some kind of new tool or something. And whenever I, you know, there's times and times when I really want to try it, but I kind of don't get around to it. But
Uh-huh.
finally, I got around to this one, and it kind of like sometimes when you find these new techniques or these new tools, it almost like unlocks something. You know, I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah.
kind of had that experience before. Like the same kind of thing happened whenever like I first started experimenting with watercolors. I'm like,
Right.
dang, you know, I just like opened up like a new can of worms that I can like do a whole bunch of crazy shit with. And like I'm still
Right.
experimenting with it, you know, splattering paint and all that kind of stuff. The same thing kind of happened whenever you know, whenever you first get on like a tablet, you know,
Uh-huh.
and especially like on, you know, on the iPad using Procreate. I remember like the first time starting to use that and like realizing like, you know, how easy it was to ink and like how easy it was to get to like a color wheel, like
Yeah.
so simple, so seamless. I'm like, holy shit, this like opens up another huge world.
Right.
Um, so like my latest find, which I don't know how much I'm gonna implement this, but like I'm starting to experiment with it, and it's been pretty damn cool. Is these bad boys here?
Oh, screen tones?
Starting to use some screen tones, man.
Nice.
So I've ordered a few to kind of start experimenting with some deleter stuff. I think I want to say like deleter is like the only company kind of still making this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you probably know better than I do because it's very manga is very into tones and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, man. So like it's I just started experimenting with it. Just kind of like in my sketchbook.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's kind of a different technique, but it's not really all that hard to understand the, you know, the basic principles of it.
Yeah.
And for those, I know we kind of have some beginners out there watching, so I'll kind of like, you know, explain what a screen tone is. Basically, it's like a dot pattern, or really any kind of pattern um, that is formed on some adhesive backing. So basically, you take the sheet of paper, you cut out the area in which you want to cover with a tone, and you take off that backing like a sticker. You put it down on the area that you want to tone, and then you get a blade or a X-Acto knife, and you kind of trim around the edges that you don't want. So say like, you know, you're drawing a monster or something. Yeah, you got some tones on there. There
Yeah.
you go. There's some examples, but so essentially, you know, you cover the area which that you want to get toned, and then you kind of chisel away the extra around it, so that
Mhm.
you can kind of have that grayscale wherever you want it to be. So like I don't know, it's a really cool thing to experiment with. You know, it's not as like, you know, it's not as um career defining, or not career defining, but career adjusting as like a tablet or something. But it's just kind of one of these cool things that, especially like with like commissions and like sketches and
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
you know, to be able to draw a piece, ink it, and then throw some tones on there, it really kind of gives this. I don't have my sketchbook isn't in here, but I drew like a quick usagi yesterday, and then like I put a tone over it, and just kind of gives it this really cool kind of effect. A guy that's been on Instagram that's been using it a lot on his commissions and stuff, and kind of inspired me to be like to finally, hey, go and buy some of this stuff. Is a guy named Jesse Lonergan. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Ken.
Oh.
But he's actually his big book right now. I don't know if it's still going on, but he's doing a Hellboy book with Mike Mignola.
Oh really?
But he's done a lot of indie stuff, and he's getting more and more. He's like a really good balance between like indie work and like a little more mainstream, but not entirely mainstream. Um, you'll kind of see that. But he's got some really cool line work and stuff. But he's been posting some cool process videos on Instagram, and he's been using these tones in like a really cool way, and adding some real cool patterns to his commissions, and it's just some real cool stuff. So that's been like one of the well, it's really just this week that I started getting it. So I'm excited to kind of experiment more with it.
Yeah, that used to be like Daniel Warren Johnson and this guy. It starts with a J. Not Jesse Ham. The guy he did Rumble.
James Heron.
James Heron. Yeah. James Heron actually gave me these. Or did he give me these? Or was that Nick? I forget. But they're the two that were like the biggest with using like tones and whatnot. And I'm not even sure who started what. I think James Heron started with it, and he was really hitting it hard, and he was like probably the best with it. And then Daniel Warren Johnson got on it afterward. And then Nick, he used to make fun of him. Not make fun of him, but like he used to just be like, they're just using stickers. And then he just started using them recently, so now he's using them too. So
yeah, it is certainly a sticker, but see, like I don't think I could use, maybe just in like very unique occasions, but like using screen tones on like an actual book, on an actual comic art and stuff, like within my my panels and stuff. It's just too damn time consuming for that. Like I said, might be some one-off occasions, but adding them in like single illustrations and stuff. A guy that does it really dope and who I love is Jim Mahfood.
Oh yeah.
And like when you look at his stuff, and he's just throwing colors and inks and white splatter, and then he throws tones in there, just like it's just so much busyness in there, but it just looks dope. And like owning a commission with tones on it, there's something kind of cool about that. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It's like that extra dimension to it. It's like you can touch it. It's tactile.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, that's a good word. It's tactile. I like that.
Yeah,
but it's fun. I mean, but honestly, nowadays, we've got screen tone brushes now, right? Digitally, I can, I've got a handful of screen tone brushes. So like, if I ever wanted to implement it into my comic, it's most likely going to be digital brush, just because I don't know how much I want to deal with cutting out stickers and throwing them down.
Yeah, it's like in Japan they have assistants for that, and I think they might just be doing it all digital nowadays. So it's like the artist is so busy doing getting the main stuff out that they just hand those tasks over to the assistant. They might like outline the lines where the tones are supposed to go, and then they'll just have the assistants do that.
Yeah, and a guy who Dustin Nguyen is, the artist. I'm sure you do. But he's I think the book is done now, but a book called Little Monsters with Jeff Lemire writing and Dustin's doing the artwork. It's kind of this kind of cool like horror apocalyptic book. I've been reading it for a book club over here in Houston.
Oh, really?
And but if you check that book out, I'm pretty sure everything is, well, I know at least all the tones are digital, but if you want like a really good example of like how digital screen tones can work, check out that book, because he uses it a ton. I mean, a lot of times he's doing very minimal backgrounds, but he's throwing down some digital tones on the background, so it's really kind of adding a lot of volume in some of his pages.
Right.
So it's a really good example, just of lighting in general, but also how to use those screen tones. Pretty cool book too. Definitely check it out.
What was it called again?
Little Monsters.
Little Monsters. Okay.
Yeah. It's a good one. Yeah, man. And then the other kind of thing that I should have got around to this a while, but I don't have like the best printer in the world, but it's decent enough. But now I've finally been experimenting with printing out blue lines on Bristol board, and luckily my printer can handle the Bristol board going through the feed.
So, okay, you've done that? Nice.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
What kind of printer do you have? Is it like Epson or?
I have a HP. Yeah, it's a HP 720 Workforce or something like that is what it's called.
Okay, so I got the Epson version.
Yeah. So there's I think they're basically the same printer, just different brands. But yeah, it's kind of a bigger one. It's got the 11x17 scanning bed on it. It can print up to 11x17. Right. But I was just kind of worried about it because I had put some like mixed media paper in it a while ago, and it kept getting stuck.
Dang.
So that's why I didn't go back to trying the Bristol, but I tried it this week. It worked. So
nice.
As I'm finishing up on West Not South and everything, I'm kind of, I'm starting to think about those next projects and whatnot. And I'm starting to think like maybe I go with, penciling digitally, blue line, in Procreate, and maybe even inking in Procreate, and then printing all that stuff out on, say, 11x14 watercolor paper or 11x14 Bristol even, and then painting it from there. Thinking about it, I don't know. I'm just trying to like survey my options to kind of think about like, one, how can I be more efficient? Because what I've done with West Not South is not efficient in the least because there's way too many steps. So now I'm kind of thinking about like, and I've been doing a comic strip for a local writer over here, and I've been doing that all digitally, pencils, inks, everything, gray tones, everything on the iPad. And it's been just so fast, man. And I've been able to get some really good stuff about it. Some really good stuff in it. So I'm starting to think like with the next stuff, like, pencil inking digitally, printing that stuff out, and then going for, some paint, whether it be a two-tone kind of paint or full color. I don't know. I'm just starting to kind of think about those things, how I can make my process better. But I'm also kind of like, there's always that thing about, oh man, like there's always that little thing like, oh, is digital kind of like less, how do you say it? Like less craftsmanship than doing something on like the board. You know what I'm saying?
I know that exact feeling that you're trying to describe because I feel it every time I try to introduce digital into my workflow. It's like, I do get that feeling of less craftsmanship in the digital space, but that's just because I haven't figured out how to use digital in my own like workflow yet. I haven't figured out how to use it in the same, like I'm better at using traditional because that's what I started with and I've just been using that for years. But switching over to digital, I do some aspects of my process digitally, like setting in like complicated perspective lines so I don't have to do all this work with a ruler and all that. I can do that easily in digital in a few hours. And then printing it out because I still want to have the finished work. I still want to have like a physical product that I can always scan in case the digital file gets lost somehow. Or and it's like if I have both digital and traditional files, my house could burn down and I'll still have the digital stuff. My digital files can get corrupted, and I'll still have the traditional stuff. So it's all a matter of like, what do you want to have at the end of the day? I don't want to have a whole bunch of digital files that are up in the cloud that if something gets hacked, all of it's gone, and then I have nothing to do anything with. Like, I like having that traditional piece of paper that I can always refer back to or scan in, and now I have a new digital file.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's why I'm kind of thinking about, doing portions of both of those, right? If you pencil ink, even just pencil digitally, print that out, ink or paint or do both on the board, you kind of have, I don't know, you kind of have the best of both worlds, but also you have like none of each of those worlds if you're doing half and half like that. But
Right.
I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm starting to experiment with like printing some blue line sketches out and just like ink on top of it, see how that feels. Throw some paint on it, throw some tones on it, kind of see kind of what I can do, man. I think I just want to do different stuff, man. I just want to experiment. I mean, I feel like with West Not South, I've experimented a ton. With the paint, with like splatters, with like popping out of panels and stuff like that. But I want to keep pushing myself to kind of experiment. Cause I've been reading this book. It's called The History of Underground Comics. I can't remember the exact writer off the top of my head right now, but it's a book that was written in like 1974 or 1976. Very very old book. But I went to one of my local comic shops a few weeks ago, and I saw it there, and I picked it up. I was like, I need to get this, and it's awesome. It's it's a really good chronicalization of underground comics. Your R. Crumbs, you got your Art Spiegelmans in there, you got your Freak Brothers in there, you got all that kind of stuff, kind of just a whole bunch of like showcase pages. And all throughout it, the writer kind of like describes his history with underground comics and kind of like goes through like a historical representation of what he experienced by reading underground comics and like how he was introduced to it and everything. But the reason why I say that is because he opens up with a pretty damn good introduction to the book. Are you sharing it there? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Let me pop that up here. Yeah, that's it. So that's the 20th anniversary edition. I think I have like the first print edition, but it's the same thing. What's the writer's name?
Mark Estren.
Okay. Yeah. So that's
Mark James Estren.
Yeah, so that cover to the left of your screen, that's the one that I have. Yeah, that one right. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's the one I have. But
wait a minute. I got it back up.
Yeah, so the reason why I bring that up, man, is because he has this really good introduction. Kind of just like an introduction into underground comics, like just a paragraph or two, a few paragraphs. But he ends it with saying like, you always want to be like one step ahead of what the fad is. So like, therefore, like making your stuff like not entirely cool right now, but the way it becomes iconic is that when the time comes for your stuff to be cool, it's going to be the best and like be the most unique, stand out the most. And he says like, in a nutshell, that's what underground comics was. It was always something while the movement happened, it was always something that that not everybody thought was cool, that everybody thought was, either what do you call it? Egregious, or wasn't funny, or was like too extreme,
right,
or whatever the case may be, too different, like in the case of like Mouse or something like that. And and like it was so ahead of its time that it wasn't cool when it came out, you know. And I've kind of been just thinking about that a lot lately, in terms, you know, not to compare my stuff at all with, like, you know, those iconic.
No, compare them.
Or compare whatever. You know, with those iconic artists and underground cartoonists and all that. But just thinking in the terms of, like, don't just do what's cool right now, you know, in terms of, like, you know, push yourself to do something different, push yourself to do something that you haven't seen yet, you know, something that may not be cool today, but maybe in 3 to 4 to 5 years, maybe, like, that thing is, like, so different, and, like, the time, you know, society is, like, ready for it now, that you'll be the standout.
I actually have a theory on that. If
Go ahead.
Whenever, yeah, because I've been thinking about that for years now. Ever since I was in the Kubert School, I was like, okay, well, what is the trend that I'm seeing, and what do I like to draw? And I really like to draw stuff from, like, the early 2000s and Y2K style stuff, because that's what I grew up with when when you know, I was younger. You know, like, that's the whole aesthetic I grew up with. So I'm like, okay, what if I do my comic in that early 2000s style, like harkening back to, like, old cartoons like Codename Kids Next Door and I don't know, Danny Phantom, stuff like that, that people my age know of and kids can still, like, get into and, like, would like the look of. I know that wave is coming because we've had, like, 90s nostalgia, 80s nostalgia, and it's getting to a point where we're about to have a wave of 2000s nostalgia, where people are liking all like the technology, how it looked back then, and the style of the cartoons and art from that time period. Because I feel like all of the best cartoons were mostly during that time period, during that 2000s time period. And I'm betting on the fact that people are going to start having nostalgia for that time. So I'm drawing in that style, not because I'm trying to quote unquote capitalize on that coming wave, but I like to draw in that style so much that I know that when people actually do come around to when it does become mainstream, like, oh, 2000s this, 2000 that, we're gonna be going back, you know, like, to the past or whatever, then I'll have like 10 years on everybody. I'll have so much of my comics made and so much art created for that, to cater to that fan base, that when it comes around, people are going to be, I'll have the product ready for them to, you know, dig into.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's certain. I guess it's, you know, I hate to go back to, like, business terms and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, like, you know, your market position, right? You know, that you get in a good position to kind of capitalize on that stuff. But, you know, Ken, you're more business minded than I am. Like, I fully admit that. So, like, the way that I interpret this stuff and the way that I think about it is, like, just keep pushing yourself to kind of, like, do some different stuff. And like that's kind of that's what I'm constantly thinking about. And, like, it's hard sometimes too, because, you know, you see so many people out there getting, like, all these likes and all this attention on, like, you know, like, the biggest cityscape, or, like, the most realistic interpretation of Muhammad Ali or something, you know, and you're like, man, like, these guys are getting so much credibility through all this.
Let me just say something really quick. Like, like, a lot of what's really popular these days is, like, maybe drawing girls and stuff like that. Like just really pretty girls or models and stuff like that. That's what gets likes on Instagram, or drawing fan art of anime characters and whatnot. Like that. That's just what's popular nowadays. And it's like, I can't do that. I don't really have any affinity for doing that kind of stuff. And I think people like you and me will stand out eventually because we're not doing that stuff. We're not following the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, that's, and, you know, it's not even, a lot of the times it's not even like a conscious effort of being like, oh, I just don't want to follow the crowd. It's really
Right.
just like, what do I feel like doing? And like, what
Yeah.
do I have time to do? When I have time to do things, like I'm going to do things I want to do, like that
Right.
are fun doing. And
And oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, hopefully it doesn't turn, away from what you were going to say, but just like, and there's some settings where the requirements may need you to follow a little bit more of a, streamlined path. For instance, like if you get like a children's book gig or something like that.
Uh-huh.
If you get like a children's book gig, you kind of have to be, maybe a little more dialed back,
Mm-hmm.
You might have to be a little more standard kind of cartoony, which is fine, because I'm kind of running into that with a few things and a few things that I hope to have, at some point here pretty soon, where you might have to kind of dial back and kind of stick in a little bit more of a lane, but that's fine because, you need to be sustainable somehow,
Yeah.
and, you don't know if, sometimes if you do the most craziest outlandish shit in the world, you might not be able to sustain a career on that. So I think there's some kind of a balance, but at the end of the day, like, you know, when you have time, and when you're able to do things to kind of like represent yourself, I think that's kind of where I'm wanting to kind of be like, all right, let me do things that I want to do. Go ahead, Ken.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, that's such a good point about like the time to do stuff, because when I was a kid, I had time to draw whatever I wanted, and it didn't matter what I didn't care at all what about likes on social media. There wasn't even that mechanic in social media yet. It was just like, okay, maybe your stuff got favorited on DeviantArt, but that stuff didn't matter to me. All that mattered was like getting better at art and drawing and getting better and getting better and like eventually drawing my own comics or manga or whatever one day. And back then I was still able to dream about like what I would do in the future, and I'd be looking at all these people that were better than me, and I wasn't really thinking, I wasn't intimidated. I was like, oh, I aspire to be like that one day. And now it's like, nowadays it's like it's way different, because I know I can draw so much better. I know I can get closer to the people that I look up to, or the artists that I look up to. But it's almost like there's no time. There's no time at all to really dig in and improve on my art. It's like you have to fight for every scrap of time you can find.
Yeah.
And it's like I almost, even if I do that, I almost have none. And like just this time now, to be able to draw has, given me enough time to actually put something out. And it's the same way with like Inktober. Like Inktober, I just now have time to barely draw something every night, and then put it out there for the next day. But I don't have that time to really dig into analyzing and figuring out and looking up a new tutorial. I kind of have to use the skills that I already have, that I've already built up, and I
Yeah.
don't have time to like learn new things.
Mhm.
So I think it's just like younger kids should really cherish what time that they have to like draw and figure stuff out, because when
Right.
they get older, there's so many constraints that they're gonna have to consider and juggle and think about before they even get to the drawing board. It's like
Yeah.
rent, rent, family obligations, this and that. It's not going to be school and homework. It's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff. Full-time job, all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, time management is the key to all this stuff, man.
Yeah.
I think that you know, like you said, you could put in like the time to make like, this most extravagant piece in the world that maybe, or, whatever this, genre defining piece of artwork is, and, and put it out there with the hopes of it, maybe it like catching the eye of somebody or some publisher or something this, something that.
Hmm.
but also like there's so much risk involved in that. So it's like, okay, do you want to try doing that, or do you want to work on your book? You know, like that book that's like you're trying to be like, you know, the staple of your career.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the thing that I'm always doing. You know, you see so many of these illustrations and so many of these great stuff out there, and it's like, you know,
like where do they find the time for that?
Yeah, and like, you know, and I think that might be cases where, like, you know, some of these guys and girls, like, they've got, you know, much less obligations, or they have a full-time career in art, or whatever it is. But I don't know, it's a constant battle back and forth, man, by like what you want to see or what you want to do, and like what you need to do to like get you to stand out, or what you need to do to get business, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like us and you can't like commit full time to it. If we had full-time gigs, you know, there's artists out there that, you know, they wake up, you know, from 9 to 11, they do like their daily sketch for the day, and then, you know, they're able to sell that, or they're able to put it on their commission bank, or whatever it is.
Right.
Then, you know, they can get to their book for, say, 4 hours, and then they can work on like their hired gig for another 2 hours, and then like rinse and repeat. So it's like every day they've got like a new stuff in the pipe. But
yeah, like I think what we're doing now is we're just buying back our time. So like little by little, we're eventually going to be able to get back to, or we're eventually going to get to full time, and then we can draw whatever we want. And I'd like to get into doing like animations for Air Writer, or like working with Blender, like a 3D software. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that I want to do that I don't have the either the materials for, or the time for, or even the money for. So it's like every day is just another chance to eventually buy the time that I would have to be able to do all that stuff. So eventually I'll be drawing Air Writer full time, and then I can do the kinds of stuff that I want to do later.
Right. Yeah, man, for sure. We'll get there, baby. We'll get there.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of time, Ken, I think it's about that time. Do you want to show off what you're sketching there?
Oh yeah. This weird little thing.
What you got? Okay, I can. It's hard for me to. I see like a big dude with some hands at the bottom. I can't see what's in the middle.
It's my character. It's Air Writer.
Okay.
This guy just like snuck up behind him.
Okay, gotcha. Is that going to be your next Inktober piece?
No. No, I'm gonna ink something else. This one, maybe I'll make it for the next Inktober or something, like the next day, or like in a couple of days. But I have a different piece I'm planning to ink tonight.
Yeah, dope. Cool, man. Well, I think that kind of wraps up this discussion, man. This was a good one. This was fun. We had some good stuff. Hopefully you guys watching out there, hopefully you got something out of this video. Throw down some comments, man. What do you think about what we discussed today? If you guys got any other topics or questions for us that you want us to answer, go ahead and throw them down in the comments too, and we'll surely get to them in a next episode. But Ken, where can the good people out there find you online?
Everyone can find me on x.com at thecomicsgrind. Basically, it's formerly Twitter. And you can also find me on Instagram at comicsgrind. And then you can read my webcomic Air Writer High School Hero on Global Comics.
Global Comics.
Yep. And that's it.
Cool. And you guys can find me on Instagram and on X at Nico_writes. You can follow me on my Substack and read my posts for free at nicorodriguez.substack.com. make sure to subscribe there. That's another one of those things that like I have to make time for is to do at least a monthly post for those things. So
yeah,
I'll be working on that soon. And of course, if you follow me on any of those platforms, you'll get the latest updates for my graphic novel coming out called West Not South. I'm on like the back leg of it now. So distribution details and all that good stuff are going to be coming soon. And also, before I forget, and we'll keep plugging this throughout, Ken and I, Mr. Ken and I, the Comics Grind featured is going to be at Comic IndieCon.
Oh yeah.
This December. So December 2nd in Houston, Texas, at the Silver Street Studios is Comic IndieCon. We're gonna have tables there. There's gonna be a whole bunch of other independent creators there. And it's gonna be fun. It's just a day show, so make sure to make some time on that Saturday to go out there and check out your next favorite comic because it might be there. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Peace.